Hey, and welcome, msKIRAspeaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. We are here for another episode of Our Kinds of People, Season 1, Episode 11. It is not light we need, but fire. So as the episode opens, we see Angela. She's at Teddy's house, sitting on the stairs inside. When Teddy comes in, she tells him that Aunt P turned herself in for murdering Darius Bates, and she needs his help. She will do whatever. Teddy agrees to help Piggy. He will set up a trust for Nikki and seed money for Eve's crown. But she's got to leave Oak Bluffs for good. He says there are things that are more difficult with her there. Angela was right about him hiding something. At least she finally said it to my face. She thought having him in her life would make her whole, but she realized she's already whole. She will consider his offer for Aunt P, but she tells him he's such a disappointment. So Angela, she's getting her sip on while she's braiding a wig to some tunes. Nate comes in and we find out that it's 3 o'clock in the morning. She turns the music down and the two of them talk. She tells him about Teddy's terms to help with Aunt P. Nate tells her maybe she should take the deal. Wanting revenge feels natural, noble, but it can destroy you. He tells her how angry he was for what happened to him and that it kept him in a toxic place. He tells her that she has a bright future ahead of her and she should put all her energy into that. Do that in your mom's name, he says. And you know, Nate is a real one, y'all. I wasn't feeling him at first, but he seems so grounded and he is always there with support for our good sis Angela. So we are at the Franklin estate. Raymond and Teddy, they're having breakfast, and Raymond is signing the transfer papers that will return Jack's Darman shares. He is talking cash-ish, and Teddy tells him gloating is for dilettantes. Raymond says all he does is hide behind his money. You hid your wife away because you couldn't handle her illness. Now look at you. And child, Raymond went too far with that one. And we know Teddy does not take anything lightly. You want to call me weak? All that is weak as hell, Raymond says. Teddy tells him that's why he prefers to take breakfast in his suite. You may own Jack's shares, but I own the company. Raymond tells him, for now. So he and Leah, they speak in the bedroom. He tells her that Teddy is the reason she and Angela are in a bad place, and Leah believes that he's trying to protect her and her mother. The only person Teddy Franklin protects is Teddy Franklin. He lies and manipulates everybody in his path. The only reason he keeps you fat and happy is because you don't call him on it. Miss Leah is not too happy about the direction of the conversation, and he suggests that she quit Franklin Holdings and they run Darman together, full partners. Leah says it's not an option, and he tells her it will be once he gets the company back. So Nikki, she's on FaceTime and she's talking to Taylor, and she tells her that she misses her, and she suggests that they get ices later. And Taylor, you know, she's down. She says, I love you. And Taylor hurries up and scurries on off that phone so fast. And we see her walk right back into Lauren's room. That was awkward, Lauren says. And Taylor feels guilty, but Lauren says, you know, they're trauma bonding over what happened to Uncle Jack. Taylor wants to break up with Nikki and says it's not just a trauma bond. They have a bond, period. They were each other's first. They fit together. Taylor says she doesn't want anyone else, and Lauren says that she cares about Nikki and doesn't want to hurt her feelings. So she wants a little more time to break her the news. Because, you know, Taylor wanted them to get along, so now here we are. And it's crazy to me that Taylor chooses to feel guilty now. Nobody told you to rebound with that girl's cousin. Just messy. So Angela, she's having flashbacks of Eve when Leah walks in and wants to explain why she voted her out of Gracity's. But Angela says she knows why. Leah was worried about hurting her mother, and Angela has to remind her that her mother is dead. She tells her mother is alive and well, and she hopes that she is grateful for that. No matter how hard she tries, she won't get answers because Leah is always going to block her. No more pretending that she cares. She can tell Teddy that she'll take the deal and leave the Bluffs for good and take his seed money. She says she doesn't see a reason for them to see each other again. And Leah walks out and she's a little sad because she didn't know anything about this. She's trying to explain her piece in all of this, but Angela, she's heard enough. Teddy's done what he's done. She's done what she's done. And so now here we are. Later, Angela is on the phone and she's trying to locate Aunt P. Nikki suggests that she go to the station when just then Aunt P comes walking in. Nikki thinks that, it's Teddy's doing, but Piggy, she tells us otherwise. She says the whole time she was in a room with two detectives confessing. They let her go pending investigation until they find Darius's body. She is a free woman. And Nikki's like, that doesn't sound very free to her. Aunt P, she says she prayed on it and her heart is right, but she wants to know, what they asked Teddy to do. So Angela says he agreed to help only if she would leave the island for good. What about finding out what happened to your mama? She doesn't want her to give up on clearing her mom's name to protect her. If she has to serve her time, she will. She wants them to enjoy their time together while they have it. And Aunt P wants to celebrate with a grand throwdown barbecue with all her old friends before she goes away. Grandma Rose is back at Franklin Estates. Lauren and Quincy, they're talking about the dance at the dead ball they did, and they're showing the footage because they did that untraditional where they were just grooving. So they're happy to have her there, and Rose, she's looking good. Teddy comes in, but he's not so happy about it. So he asks to speak to Leah alone, and he wants to know why Rose is here. Well, damn, Teddy. Leah says she called and said she wanted, to be part of the grand illumination festivities. Her doctor signed off of it, and she's taking her meds. Teddy says she should have consulted with him first, but Leah reminds him, you didn't consult with me when you made that deal with Angela. And she's taking it, by the way. Leah says she's having a hard time of it. When he told her to torpedo, Angela's Grace City membership, he destroyed any hope of them becoming real sisters. He says they all have to make sacrifices, and Leah wants to know exactly what sacrifice that he has made. He swears that he's protecting Rose, but it doesn't seem that way to Leah. If it's all about protecting her, then she can stay in this house, her home, for as long as she wants, and I'm going to be there for her. Ruining my relationship with Angela has got to be worth something, right, Daddy? Sis said, you took my sister away. You ain't gonna take my mama again, too. So Raymond and Tyreek, they meet up and they're having lunch. Raymond gloats about Teddy watching the shares come back to him this morning. The first of many battles won. Tyreek, now designing skyboxes for Teddy, has received a login and password from IT. This may help him gain access to our legacy files that Leah and him, that Leah and Raymond were locked out of. They can finally see what he's hiding, and Raymond can get his company back and his wife free by showing her who Teddy really is. You gotta fight for the woman that you love, Tyreek. And Raymond's ask about him and Angela. Tyreek says he's getting back in the fight. You can't win if you don't battle. They toast to winning the battle and the war. Quincy and Sloan, they're still growing strong. The two are kissing when Lauren comes in to interrupt them. Mariah's bag was stolen from her beach party, and she asked Sloan if she's seen it. So the maid's granddaughter must have taken it. Lauren calls her a gold digger and asks, she's like, you want Quincy like it's your job. So Sloan says, I think that's when the two of them stepped away, and Sloan says that you should be more like Taylor. She's nice. Tell her I love those kicks she's wearing. Does Nikki know y'all have been kicking it? Lauren asked if you've been spying on us, and Sloan was like, nope, just doing my job. I was upstairs cleaning when she walked out. You didn't notice because, the help is invisible to girls like you. Child, I was for Miss Sloan giving Lauren a dose of her own medicine. But talking about Taylor's kicks kind of raised my eyebrows, and she also mentioned Mariah's bag in another episode. So I'm like, is Lauren right or nah? Maybe Sloan is just playing into our assumptions. It could be because Anywho, I knew Raymond was getting ahead of himself earlier. Teddy has hired Brooks to investigate Jack Harmon's death. His death was ruled accidental, but Teddy wants him to find something to force the police to reopen the case. Pay close attention to the actions of my son-in-law. I don't trust him. He is trying to stall the transfer of Jack's shares to Raymond. Before Brooks leaves, he gives him a piece of paper and says he needs something delivered to Eve's crown. Leah is looking at the dress that her mom was inducted in. She plans on making a few alterations and wearing it herself to the grand illumination ball. Rose says, "You are about to usher women into a beautiful sisterhood." And Leah looks sad, and she says there is one sister that should be there. Her sister, Angela Vaughn. She says she's sorry and she knows the name brings up painful memories for her, but now Teddy wants her gone to protect the family. She doesn't know what that means, and she asks her mom to tell her why. Rose doesn't give a straight answer. Your father and I have so many secrets. She's sorry if their past is making her present that much harder. She wanted to come home before the ball, to be there with her for her big day, and to tell her that she loves her and that she wanted to have a good memory with her, even if it was just this one. So Leah promises her that there will be plenty more. So the Vaughn ladies are having a party, and all these random people are there, and they do the wobble when Tyreek comes in, and Aunt P sees him and brings him straight to Angela. She apologizes to him for not giving him closure and for that affecting his relationship with Angela. Tyreek says he takes responsibility for his missteps and hopes it is not too late. Nate is watching it all unfold from across the room, and he does not look happy. An older gentleman, he walks in, and I think to myself, I know you lying. It's the guy from All My Children that Debbie Morgan, Aunt P, was also on. Piggy sees him from across the room as he walks towards her, and she looks shocked. Darius, she asks. Hello, Patricia. So the party's over, and we finally get some explanation from Mr. Darius. 30 plus years, you let me think you're dead. That's what we wanted you to believe. Who is we? Angela asked. Him and Teddy Franklin. After Piggy stabbed him, he passed out, partially from blood loss, partially from all the drugs he had in his system. Eve wanted her to clean up, so they thought this was the best way to do it, and she thought the best way to do it is to make her think that he was dead, that she kind of killed him, and I guess it kind of worked. So Angela asked why he's there now. He tells her that someone from Teddy's camp reached out and said Patricia turned herself in for murder. My kids is bugging. And she should get down to the police station, and he should get down to the police station himself to clear this up. Afterwards, he was supposed to come there so she could see it with her own eyes. Piggy is still in shock. That night gave him a new beginning and helped him put his life back on track. He hopes after today that P will get a new beginning too. Quincy goes to see Lauren and tells her she needs to fall back. He likes Sloan. Lauren says they're twins. She knows him, and Sloan is not it. Pause. Since when are these two twins? Or am I tripping? Somebody please drop it in the comments if they've mentioned it before and I just missed it. So Quincy tells her anytime he gets something for himself, she sees it as a threat and tries to blow it up because she's selfish and controlling. He's tired of it. Lauren gets up and says the only reason he likes Sloan is because she's poor. No, Lauren, not because she's poor. She says, he will drop her like he does everything else in his life, and Sloan does not know what's coming. There's something wrong with you, he tells her before he makes his exit. So we see Teddy, and he's asking Rose for a dance. He apologizes for his coldness towards her earlier. Leah is walking by, and she sees them, and she watches for a little while, And he says the song is the same one that was playing during their first waltz at the Grand Illumination Ball in 1984. It's a hard time of the year for the both of them. Teddy gives a tearful, heartfelt apology. Just dance with me, Rose says. The next morning, Leah comes in to see Rose. It's time for the Grey Cities brunch. Leah, she thinks her mom is just lounging and she's still in last night's clothes. Then her face grows serious and she touches her and she calls her name over and over until she bursts into a wailing sob. And I felt that scream down in my soul and I just teared up immediately. She looks over and then she sees Rose's lipstick on the pillow that's next to her. And I think we were thinking the same thing. Teddy did that shit. It's 1 week later and we see Sloan telling Quincy she wishes she could go to the funeral with him. So Lauren comes over and asks for a minute with Quincy. He tells Sloan she doesn't have to go anywhere. Lauren cries. She's like, it's our grandmother's funeral. But he pays her dust. So the car is outside and she's bought his jacket. But Sloan is the one that helps him put it on. And then Lauren walks away in tears. And Sloan says, I'm so proud of you for sticking up for us. This video is going to be cut and paste. And my kids is really effing up the darn thing. Listen, I know Lauren can be a lot, but damn, Quincy, that was too much. And on the day of your grandmother's funeral. So we see Aunt P and she meets up with Darius and he's nervous. He says this place reminds him of all the bad things he's done and that he's blocked out. But he's changed and now he's a deacon at church. He volunteers at the shelter 4 times a week and he's not taking this second chance for granted. Teddy Franklin gave him another life, but never let him forget about it. Through the years, his phone would ring. It would be him wanting a favor. To say no would risk him losing everything. He slides a paper bag across the table to Piggy. She takes a look in the bag and it's a gun. Darius tells her Teddy showed up on his doorstep one night back in '84. He was about to join some fancy rich people club up on the bluffs. And, he was dressed to the nines. His wife, too, and she was a mess. Looked like he had seen a ghost. She kept mumbling something about Eve. Before he could say anything, Teddy shoved the gun at him and told him to get rid of it. He doesn't know why he held on to it for so long. He says, he guesses he thought it might serve him as some sort of leverage. And it just very well may. He never heard from Teddy again till the other day, which brought him to her. He's not sure how it may help her, but he heard that Teddy's got something on her niece. They couldn't fight him before, but now he can, and he owes her. And my wheels start, they start turning, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. So Nikki comes in and she finds that Angela still isn't ready. And she tells her at the end of the day, Leah is still your sister. She remembers Mama Eve's funeral when the mailman that she always used to fight with, he showed up. She says when he hugged her and said he was sorry for her loss, that it meant the world to her. She tells her, good or bad, she's still our family. And with that gem, she puts Angela's dress on the bed and she heads out. We see Leah and she's still trying to gather herself together and she finds a letter. It's from Rose and it starts something like, she feels her time has come. Soon she will move to his house. These last hours spent together have been the happiest. She goes on to tell her that what was between her and her father has nothing to do with Leah and that she is her biggest blessing. She ends it, by telling her to live her life for herself and to get out of her father's shadow. Now, who still writes letters? And are we to believe that she committed suicide or maybe assisted suicide? Or are we going to stick with our conspiracy theory that the letter was computer generated and Teddy killed her like we initially suspected? Put your thoughts down in the comments. So Teddy, he comes into the room and she closes a letter up and she puts it in the drawer where she still has that pillow that she found with the lipstick on it. She tells him that she's ready, and as they go, walk out, Teddy, he gets a call and he tells her he's right behind her. It's Brooks. He spoke to several ladies that stayed at the beach club the week before Jack Harmon died. They remembered seeing him slip a woman a key to his bungalow. They all swear that that woman was Leah. It was. Teddy tells him to keep this between them. It's Rose's homegoing, and everyone has showed up to hear the pastor speak. Teddy steps up to say a few words. People who are loved never really die. They live on through the lives they've touched. He tells Quincy that he has Rose's courage. Lauren has her fire. Leah, her unyielding strength. As Teddy wraps it up, Olivia, she steps up to speak and says that Rose was her dearest friend. I don't mean to interrupt a moment, and I know that they can only show so much, but I only heard Olivia speak about Rose a handful of times. Never saw her visit or saw them speak when Rose was tripping out that time that she called Angela Leah. But okay, go off, sis. So Angela says that the Gracie D's will sing a tribute to Rose, and Leah steps up, and then she has a private word with her mom after, all this is finished. She tells her that she was not weak. She was one of the strongest women she ever knew. She is proud to be her daughter, and she will honor her for the rest of her days. Now, I started to get a little teary-eyed. And then she turns around and she sees Angela in the distance, and she is looking fabulous. And she's got on this hat, just doing the damn thing. And Leah, she starts fast walking towards her, and Angela opens her arms. Leah holds her tight and she cries, and so did I. You could feel all of the emotion, like it was a real moment. Anybody that didn't cry, whew. So Teddy, he tries to join them, but Angela, she puts her hands up, and we see Nikki, she gives Lauren a hug. Both she and Angela definitely know what this feels like, because, they just lost Mama Eve. So later at home, Angela talks to Aunt P about that cry that people have at funerals that just comes from the gut. She says with everything going on between she and Leah, she wouldn't wish that pain on anybody. Then Piggy slides her the gun, which she has wrapped up in a napkin, across the table. And Angela asks, whose gun? She opens it up for her to see what it is. And Angela asks, whose gun is that? Aunt P tells her that Darius says it's Teddy's. He gave it to him to hide the night that Eve was arrested. She doesn't know anymore, and neither does he. Only reason people hide a gun is if it was used for a crime. Angela plans to find out exactly what her father did. They cheers to finding out for Eve, and that is where the episode ends. And before I get into my final thought, please put your final thoughts and comments down in the comment section. Now, I was sitting here and I was thinking, and unless they're going to introduce a totally new character in this last episode, my money is on the one man that we saw with a bullet right in his head a few episodes back, Lewis, Teddy's brother. So I know episode 12, our season finale, has already aired. You know that I am late and I am playing catch up. So I am just doing these whenever. You could just watch these whenever. But I hope you'll come back and join me for the review. If you have made it this far, put a rose emoji in the comments in honor of Mama Rose's homegoing. While you're here, please check out some of my other content. Thank you. And before you go, please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. Peace.